our education system. So, in our education system, what's working? Well, our universities, for the most part, or our tertiary institutions, they're doing really great. Now, why is this? Well, we have employers, companies, or, you know, perhaps startups, and they tell the tertiary institutions or the universities, hey, I want people who are great at being team players. I want people who are great at communication and working together, and I want people who are really creative and are good at solving problems. Excellent. So tertiary universities understand this and they say, excellent, I'm gonna build a syllabus and a curriculum that solves all these things, and I'm gonna give you these students, and I'm gonna train them for that. Great. So that's what's working with the education system. Now, what's not working with the education system? Let's say you send a kid into kindergarten at 4, he goes to primary school at 6, he does secondary school, he does primary school until he's 12, he does secondary school until he's 16, and then he goes to junior college, and then he goes to university. Now, the problem here is that there's very little feedback between what goes on between these institutions and the real world. So, when the kid goes from, say, primary school to secondary school, you're simply passing on the kid to the next institution. And because there isn't any feedback from the real world, we put an arbitrary standardized test. We could call this, the SATs or the O levels, whatever. I'm not here to slam the standardized test. What I'm trying to say is the problem is that there's no real world feedback from other people. So you end up teaching them things which are very much rote memory or subjects which are completely irrelevant to the real world right now. And students are questioning. They're like, why am I even learning this? It doesn't matter. My parents don't use it anymore. The real world sure as hell doesn't use it anymore. It doesn't make sense. So, what is a possible solution to this problem? Okay, well, a solution is moving away from standardized testing into a portfolio of work or a CV. Now, why do I say that? What does standardized testing do? We're taking an entire cohort of people and we're ranking them and we're turning them into this pyramid. And typically, there's the elite schools or the people who are going to private schools or independent schools who are wealthy and rich and can do very well in the system. And then you have the mainstream schools and public schools and people who are not doing so well. That's unfortunate. With a portfolio or CV, which is how the rest of the world operates when evaluating someone, what are you looking at? You're typically looking at someone's experience. You're looking at their ability to solve problems. You're looking at their ability to work in a team. And you're looking at their ability to work on projects and to be creative. That's great. So, what's going to happen as a result of this? Let's go purple. So, we're going to move away from the pyramid and we're going to have, well, there are still pyramids, but much smaller pyramids. Many smaller pyramids, right? So, we could have secondary schools or junior colleges or polytechnics, which are focused more on the arts or the sciences or, humanities or technology. And they would be able to judge and look at these students based on a portfolio of work which they are personally interested in, which they are looking at in terms of autonomy. That's much better, much better. And as a world and as a country and as different countries, they're starting to shift towards this, but this could happen much quicker. Okay, so let's say you are a student or a parent. What can you do? Well, if you are financially able to, I would strongly suggest that you leave the system. There are many schools out there which offer problem-based learning. What's problem-based learning? Well, before we talk about problem-based learning, let's talk about what the system would offer. The system would probably say, all right, let's say you want to learn pi. Here is pi. Pi is about the radius, the relationship between the radius to the circumference of the circle. And here's a bunch of math problems. Go do it. Okay, in problem-based learning, this is what you would do instead. You would take an 8-week course on building a bicycle. You would learn a lot of things like tensile strength, materials, welding, metals, and you cannot build a bicycle without first building a wheel. And you can't build a wheel without first understanding pi, the relationship between a spoke and a rim. Now, if you were a student, if you had to learn pi again, which system would you prefer? The typical mainstream system that you've been used to, or problem-based learning? I think it's pretty obvious. So that's my take on the pros and cons of the education system and what we could possibly do about it. I hope you enjoyed it.